Are you dealing with a serious debt problem that you don't ever seem to get really any traction as far as getting rid of it? Are you considering bankruptcy? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 factors that you need to consider before making the decision to file for bankruptcy. But if this is your first time to my YouTube channel, go ahead and click subscribe. That way you'll get instantly notified the second I put out a new video. I try to put these out each week to help people who are dealing with serious debt problems. Now, I'm recording this video right in the middle of this whole COVID-19 pandemic. And the experts out there are predicting just a total tsunami of bankruptcies are coming our way because so many people have been laid off. They've had their incomes impacted by this, and things are just tough all over. So a lot of people are thinking to themselves or considering if it's necessary for them to file for bankruptcy to deal with their debt problems. Right prior to the pandemic hitting, consumer debt was at an all-time high. So we're in this situation where there's this all-time high debt, consumer debt, credit cards, medical bills, those kind of things. And then all of a sudden, without warning, this pandemic comes in and people are not allowed to work. They're getting laid off, furloughed, and it's just created this perfect storm of a mess. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you about 3 different factors you should consider if you're thinking that you may need to file for bankruptcy. Now, the first thing that you need to think about as far as determining whether bankruptcy is a good idea or not is, are you facing some type of crisis? Is there some type of wage garnishment going on? Is there a foreclosure on your home? Has your car been repossessed? Is there something where you need action now as far as getting rid of that debt? A lot of people may not be aware, but the reason why Dave Ramsey filed for bankruptcy is because of this very thing. There was a crisis. They were trying to repossess furniture that he had in his house, which was literally going to take away the bed that his kids were sleeping on. So he took action, he filed the bankruptcy, and the most powerful thing about bankruptcy, whether it's Chapter 7, Chapter 13, is as soon as you file that case, the court puts an order in place that stops all collections. There's no more phone calls, there's no more letters, there's no more lawsuits, there's no more repossessions, foreclosures, nothing. Everything stops as soon as the bankruptcy is filed. So if you're on the fence as well, trying to determine whether bankruptcy is a good idea, first thing to evaluate, is there some kind of crisis going on right now that you need to stop right now? And if so, bankruptcy may be a good option. The second thing you need to consider is your debt sufficient, or is your income and your debt ratio sufficient that you could pay off your debt if you really put the nose to the grindstone for the next 5 years? The reason why I use 5 years is because if you file for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, it's likely that you're going to be paying a monthly payment to the bankruptcy court for 5 years, and a portion of that debt is going to pay, a portion of those funds are going to pay off part of your creditors, and the rest will be discharged in a Chapter 13 case. Chapter 7 cases are a lot shorter. They're about 4 or 5 months, and there's no payment required. But I have clients, when they come into my law office here in Arizona, we'll go through this analysis of whether their income and their debts are such that if they were to tighten the belt a bit, they could pay things off in 5 years. If you think that you can, then maybe bankruptcy is not the best idea, because it does impact you for quite a while. It stays on your credit for 10 years, and it can impact you even longer than that as far as lenders asking if you've ever filed for bankruptcy. So look at your budget, look at how much money you have left over, go through and see, are the things that you can eliminate from your budget that would free up some cash to help pay off those debts. One area that I recommend that people look to find some extra cash in their budget each month, go through and look at all the automatic subscriptions that are coming out in things like iTunes and cell phones, those kinds of things where there's an automatic debit being hit. A lot of times when you go through your budget and you're not realizing how much of that money is going out, and sometimes it can be hundreds of dollars, which you can then devote towards paying off debt. The third thing I would recommend that you look at is really looking at where you've been. Have you made any progress over the last few years of paying off your debt, or is it always a situation where you can only afford to pay the monthly minimums? If you're not really making any progress on your debt and you need just to get it dealt with once and for all, then filing for bankruptcy is a decent option. Like I said, it does stay on your credit for 10 years, but most people really only feel the impacts of it for about 2 to 3 years. Like FHA will do home loans again 2 years after a Chapter 7 is over. So those are the main 3 things that I'd have you look at and evaluate in determining whether you need to file for bankruptcy. Are you facing some kind of crisis? Do you think you can pay your debts off over the next 5 years if you really put your mind to it? And 3, how have you been doing over the long run as far as trying to get these done? Something that surprises a lot of people is there's no specific debt amount that you have to have. A lot of times people ask me, do I have enough debt to file for bankruptcy? The court doesn't look at how much debt you have per se. What they're looking at is just if you qualify based upon your household size and your income. I can tell you I've had people come into my office where they've had $10,000 of debt, but it may as well have been $10 million because their income situation was such that they were never going to be able to pay that $10,000 in debt off, and thus bankruptcy became a decent option. I've also had the other side of that, where people have come in with over $100,000 in credit card debt, but their income was sufficient that we could put together a plan where they could pay that off over that 5-year period. So hopefully that helps. I hope that you're doing well during this very difficult time. And if you're contemplating bankruptcy, in my office, we do offer a free consultation for bankruptcy clients to help you go through this process to determine whether it's a good option or not. Thanks for watching today.